her. Patricia is mostly responsible, besides the pollinator partners of Master Naturalist, for this garden out here, which is a monarch way station. And then we have Mariana, and Mariana is in the back. And for 5 years, she has been project lead for the Cedar Creek Park Butterfly Garden. If you haven't been there, it's just lovely. And many native plants, and if you catch it just right, it's exploding with life. It has birds, and of course hummingbirds with those, and insects of all kinds, spiders, and it has butterflies and moths and caterpillars, all the life. And Mariana has done a great job there.
Where is this?
It's at the,
What about 21 at 535? So it's south on 535, just past the fire station and the school.
Okay.
So it's pretty close.
Couldn't hear that.
It's on 535. It is just like a block east of 21. So you're going to go down 21 like you're going to San Marcos, is that right? And you're going to stop at a light and turn left on 535. You will see an elementary school, a fire station, and then you will see the sign for Cedar Creek Park. A lovely place to walk your dog, etc. But the garden is in the center, and Mariana has made sure that we have lots of friends in the county, and the county workers are just thrilled to have that team out there. So, thank you, Mariana. Yes.
I love that garden. I go every season because it looks better than most gardens. It always has something there. It's never blank.
So, did I catch everybody? No, I did not. Debbie is our past president of Bastrop County Master Gardeners and our education coordinator. So if you have topics that you'd like to hear about or you'd like to tell her about, please let her know. And then we have her husband, Randy, who is a Last Pines Master Naturalist, and some of the people here are also Last Pines Master Naturalists as well. And back there is Tony, and Tony helps on all the projects, and he also is our nominating committee, and we are so grateful. So, did I miss anybody? Okay, so,
Gail?
Yeah. Yes.
Say the lady.
I did say, didn't I say tomatoes?
Yes.
I did say tomatoes. She is going to have her seed-grown tomatoes at our plant sale, which is on March 11th. If you want those, have a chance at them, because I'm sure they'll go fast. It starts at 9 o'clock at the show barn, which is up the hill across from the park where the jet is behind it. Show barn. Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you. Okay, so we introduced them, but I want to tell you a little bit more about Rebecca and Rudy. Rebecca is a herbalist, so she knows her herbs very well. And then both of them are project leads on the extension office, which is at 901 Pine across from the courthouse. And Bob Bryant Park is a new community garden that Rudy is a fabulous designer. He knows irrigation, and he is, of course, a minister gardener working on that. And he loves that sense of community, and we are really happy to be that he's doing that, because we can go be with him and learn. And you'll see more about Rudy in here. So a lot of time, okay, so I moved to Bastrop County 12 years ago, 50 years in Texas, the rest of it at the Edwards Plateau, very different. So when I came to Bastrop County, it was a little softer, maybe than that Caliche and Cedars. So the first year, finding the monarch migration, that's really the first glimpse of, oh my gosh, there's such beautiful wildlife. And what you see there is something called cowpen daisy. And it is a wildflower. It's a little messy. But gosh, it serves those animals from the beginning of the season to the very end when it freezes. So it is a host plant, and I that in a handout that will be on the website. I have 6 pages of information, and that's part of that one. It also is a nectar plant. The blooms are extraordinary right after the first rains in the fall, and that's when the monarchs are coming through. So really a great plant to get them in your garden, and I hope you try that sometime. But then just really expanding and realizing how much unique ecology there is in Bastrop County. So these are all creatures from my property up in Page. Lunamont, it just happens to like that area. Wild violets. This one, the annual, now that's bee-balm. I don't think it's a native variety, but the annual is cruising to see what he can find. That is the caterpillar of the Gulf fritillary butterfly, particularly beautiful butterfly with silver, I call them silver teardrops on one side of their wings. And then, I know you've all run into the snout. Who hasn't run into a snout? Do you remember when they came through in mass like a cloud? It was last summer. And then it happens every couple of years. Do you remember driving down the road and well, never mind. And they are just wonderful. And they have such a profile, that big proboscis, beautiful. So many things to celebrate here in Bastrop County, spiders, moths. Native bees, another one. 1,000 different types of native bees. So I was a beekeeper of honeybees, but then I realized I really wasn't helping nature, so to speak. Honeybees are a type of livestock. They must be managed like you manage cattle. You have to make sure you know who the queen is versus the bull. You've got to make sure they have good health. You have to make sure that they are not going to leave you. You kind of get that sense of when they're going to get restless and leave, because then they become someone else's problem or they go wild. And who are they competing with? They're competing with 1,000 different types of native bees, which have evolved with the plants of Bastrop County and Texas. One of the gifts that Texas has is the National Butterfly Center, and that is in Mission, Texas. And so that's kind of where you start to really appreciate bees in addition to butterflies. So I gave those hives away. This was on Friendship Road up there. Do you see that there are 3 beetles? So 1, 2, and a ladybug. I think she's a bit, maybe not, I'm not sure. The carpenter bee who has the shiny rear, and then a bumblebee here. One milkweed plant, antelope horn. It comes back every year. Sometimes I may have seen the flowers one day, then they're gone the next day. That's because the deer came through. Can you see this one? This is also in my yard. I took both of these. That's a metallic sweat bee, and it is a native bee. And isn't it precious? Just beautiful. So, okay. This just symbolized to me that Texas plants have to be really tough. This one is in a parking lot over there at the Bastrop State Park.
What is it? Is that the Captain Daisy?
It looks like a Captain Daisy, but it's really short. So I looked it up and I kept trying to find it. I don't know what it is. I'll have to look at iNaturalist. Guys?
I
Nobody?
think it's a bitterweed.
A what?
Bitterweed.
Bitterweed. Okay, I'll try that and see if that comes up. So in addition to the beautiful creatures, we have a climate, as you know, dry with intermittent flood. If you haven't lived here very long, that is the climate. And then what's interesting about Bastrop County is we have such different ecosystems. So you've got downtown Bastrop. Gail tells me it used to flood. I bet Smithfield did too in the day. And so that soil is very, very different than Circle D, where it's sand and pine trees. You've got also Tahitian Village. Whoa, with those pine trees and gravelly soils.
Let me interrupt with one additional detail. There's a lot of information here. We're going to send out the slides in PDF format to all our members. If you sign in here, we can send this themselves. You don't have to memorize everything she's saying.
Right. And then, like I said, I've got six pages of links where you don't have to go. You can, it'll give you plant lists, and it'll give you design suggestions.
That's on your website or sending to us?
He's
Our
going to
website.
send it to you if you have signed in or you were a member of the club. There you go. Okay. So the Lost Pines are part of the Post Oak Savannah. Now, where I have property is up in Page, and it is Post Oak Savannah, but so is the Lost Pines. But the area we're in is flatter with a clay pan soil. Can't go very far down there, but there are some pecans and definitely oaks scattered. So a garden in one place is going to be very different than a garden in another place. And of course, Cedar Creek also floods, and that is Cedar Creek Park. So Mariana has been planning how to address that as well. So how do you garden in a place like this while respecting nature? What happened is in 2020, when we were all watching Zoom calls, this one was even before that. This was in 2018, Alice and I, is that when we heard it? Don't tell me. No, it was 2020. It was 2020. It was a Zoom call during a COVID time. And he said plant native. Now he is a professor at the University of Delaware in Newark. He retired and bought 10 acres in Pennsylvania. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to southeastern Pennsylvania. I graduated high school there. You can plant anything there, and it'll grow. But he decided that he would plant natives. Nobody does that up there. You know, they just want lawn. And so he had 10 acres of really bare soil. It had been a former farm. And he went ahead and showed and demonstrated what could be done with native plants. So the native plants of Pennsylvania are going to be different than the native plants here, but he drew in so many species of different creatures. And so his idea was that we used to ask our gardens to be pretty, and we all still want them to be pretty, but we also want them to support life and sequester carbon with their beautiful carbon dioxide and putting it in the ground like plants do, feed pollinators, and if you have the right plants, it will actually soak in water. So a ranch that has been managed, the water will stay there and not have the waste being flowed away in a creek. It can help sustain the land. So the book that he wrote in 2020 is called Nature's Best Hope, and it shares his ideas of planting more natives and why that will be beneficial for our world, and teaching young people the value of what we have now or what we could protect. And then the fourth or fifth chapter of that book is a chapter called Homegrown National Park. And what he has done is he now has a website. Somebody in New York who is more of a marketing person said, you really need to press this. This isn't working. So he's trying a new thing, which is called homegrownnationalpark.org. And he has this 24-minute video, and he again makes the case for why natives, and it's a science-based solution for the biodiversity crisis. When you look at a lawn, it does not sustain life the way a natural garden would do. And I always remember my sister very carefully taking those caterpillars off the parsley and putting them carefully in the lawn. They don't eat the lawn, Judy, you just killed them. Those are going to be swallowtails. Oh, but I talked to her, so she... Anyway, so we can garden and support nature. one of the, oops, and I forgot this, I've got the book back there, which is Earth-Kind Landscape Management. And it really gives you the principles that we're talking about tonight, but in a Texas A&M type language. But it does talk about plant selection, how big the plant grows, and all of the things of living gently on the earth when you garden. Fewer pesticides, if any. Certainly, you don't want them in your wildlife garden. And so if you want to know more about that, Alice does a great presentation on Earth-Kind management, right? So, and then we use Texas or local native plants, and that's what Mariana has done in her garden. I think Rudy has headed that direction in the Bob Ryan Park, and certainly that is the case out here in the Monarch Way Station. But basically, you start with the soil. So we talked about all those different areas of Bastrop County. So there was some lawn up the street, and there were some people that had an idea. I think Patricia was in on that, and Mariana, and Rudy, and Rebecca, and maybe Tony. Let's do something with that lawn. Okay. So, we sent you, anyone who's in the garden club, we sent you an invitation to an event. So the gardeners do like to have events, and we love sharing what we do and what we know. And in this case, it was creating a wildlife garden and creating the soil first. So this was a hands-on. If you lived on Wilson Street and you were here, driving around on the 4th of a Saturday, there was a lot of traffic there, and that was because there were people out there using a low-cost, no-dig, friendly technique to layer organic materials that were waste materials for our neighbors and businesses nearby, such as Bastrop Copier or Anita's Restaurant, and also from farms. And and yards. So we call this technique the Zuniga method, named after Rudy, because he patiently has taught this over and over. And so we'll share that with you right now. You draw a garden bed plan. This is his daughter-in-law, or daughter, had an idea that if you have a street here, you can plant 4 gardens in this space. And if you go up Wilson, you'll just see soil right now. But that's, and planting it intentionally with native plants. But the idea was to start with a plan. And they're very good at drawing and really listening to what's needed or wanted. And then we staged the waste materials. So in this case, cardboard from local shops or Amazon. And then you have mulch from the Recycle Center in LaGrange. It is $15 for an enormous truckload. Mushroom compost, Kitchen Pride Mushroom Farm gives it away. Now you do have to shovel it. And if you need someone to shovel it for you, you know what? I know somebody that might do that. So we're trying to get the knowledge out there and the manpower to help people access some of these materials. Mushroom blocks. So this is a mushroom block. It's from Kyle. There we go. All right, so this is our biggest one today. There is a farm in Kyle that has fancy mushrooms, not the Kitchen Pride kind, but more this is an oyster mushroom. They grow these. This is a second flush on this particular one. These are broken up into smaller pieces and added to the garden, and that adds the fungi. So we want your soil to have bacteria, fungi, worms, and it will provide the nutrients for the plants. So, where did I get this one? Guess what? If you go up 21, it's very close. There's a dinosaur peeking out over a fence, just on the left as you're driving out. It's not very far.
With them moving very well.
Yeah, yeah. So he's a great, I mean, he is just
Chris.
Chris is all about the mushrooms, and he was, so these were $5 a piece. Honestly, I brought back 70 with Mariana, and we had to put them in the car and then drive all the way and everything. It's actually, yeah, unless you're doing an enormous yard, then you might want to travel, but Chris has these for $5, and
What's the difference between mushroom compost and mushroom blocks? I'm confused.
It's just I don't know the recipe for these. I know that it's a different mushroom that they grow than the Kitchen Pride. If you look on the Kitchen Pride website, you can find out what they're using. Their substrate is waste from farms all around them. So, spent brewer's yeast. Good, you know? And of course, I think there's chicken manure in there, and there's straw, and which I understand is available at Discount Feed. And there's other things, and they'll tell you, but it won't tell you the portions, yes.
When they grow mushrooms, they throw out all the stuff they grow them on after 3 seasons, 3 uses,
Yes.
grow things.
So if you go to Gonzales, to the mushroom farm there, you will see piles and piles of this. So you back up your truck, as I tried to, and then you shovel it in, and then you bring it home. We brought bags so that we could shovel it into the bags, make it a little easier to get out. That worked fine.
But
Again,
you can show up with a pickup truck and get it filled up? Right.
They will not fill it for
They won't fill it for
you. You fill it, or you bring a strong young man like I did.
They used to fill it out.
They did. They don't have that thing anymore. And I'm not sure if they'll ever fix it, but this is great because you know what? Yeah, you can get as much as you want. But so, yeah, but you may need someone. The trick is you back it up to the pile and you whisk it into your truck. That's how you do it. I did not do it that way. But that's okay. Anyway, that's a mushroom block. These are done differently, and they, as you can see, it's a different type of mushroom than you would find in your Kitchen Pride ones in HEB.
You would have to break that up into pieces somehow, wouldn't you?
Yes, that's what we did. But that's what we've done on our gardens. I think Patricia decided it would be really tiny. I've done it where it's more blocky, but then I have oyster mushrooms growing on the front, in the front garden.
You have a mulch, does it matter what's in the mulch? Like we put branches and leaves and everything?
Yes. And dried leaves are certainly one of the ingredients. When I went to LaGrange, it's mostly trees. So the dried leaves, green leaves is another ingredient. Rabbit manure, so there are rabbit farms in Bastrop County. They will put it in the back of your truck, as I recall. I haven't been out there in a long time. We did digging, and that was harder. But it depends on the farm. You have a, tell us. What do you think, Rudy?
So he was asking what's the difference between mushroom blocks and mushroom compost.
Well, the mushroom compost, they have a recipe. I don't know the recipe for this, do you?
That's just the substrate of sawdust.
Sawdust?
Yeah, and it grow it's mushroom growing on the mycelium.
Okay.
On the actual substrate.
Okay.
So, and then mushroom compost is just a little further ahead where it's actually decomposed a lot more than what you have there in that bag.
Yeah,
So you would take that, and that's what we added into your garden.
Right.
But we broke it down so that the process is faster. Now, whether you wanted to just use the block as a compost, you don't have to break it down. It just speeds the process. You can just bury the whole thing in the ground, and it'll do just fine.
And those worms will figure it out, I guess. Right. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, they have the recipe there on Kitchen Pride mushroom. They provide a lot of information. But I didn't, thank you, Rudy. I did not know what they were doing with this. That's good to know. So, Bree, we did a project recently that Rudy led, and We didn't have much green. I did have pond prawns that I found on pecan. If those were yours, thank you. I found them in the trash. Thank you. All right. Dried pine needles go on top. Make it a little nice as a nice finish. Any questions on that?
A friend of mine closed her business and she had tons of shredded paper. And
Oh,
I used that last year. It worked.
there you go. There you go. Yes. So that's, I mean, just such a beautiful thing to use the waste products from locally, and then Kitchen Pride's doing the same. Okay. So there is this one of the staged items that is the $15 worth of mulch from LaGrange. This is, Rudy's not in this picture, but he is, I don't recognize anyone actually. Well, anyone that's here. Anyone you want to take credit? No. Okay, so there's the cardboard on one of the beds. The green will be a walkway, and then it's the mulch and layering everything in.
Is that a public garden?
What's that?
Is that a house? Oh.
It's a house. It's a house. The layers of organic material plus time will equal soil. What makes it soil and not dirt is that it's alive. It has beneficial bacteria, worms, fungi, and nutrients for the plants. So that's a way, the Zuniga method, and we like it
So
alive.
how long will that take?
I'm going to check it in 6 months and seal it. Have you planted in the one we did last fall? The one in the butterfly garden?
No,
No.
we have a cover crop.
You have a cover crop, so that would be good. Yeah. Okay. Good. And then the soil plus a succession of native plants that are intentional in their design will yield a habitat. And so in the materials that I provided, the links and so forth, you can see pollinator gardens, you can see native bees and what they need, and we all know birds need seeds and they need berries and all of those things. And so in there are a plant list for each type of thing, and so you can mix and match and see which plants might provide several things, like those cowhead daisies, seeds and nectar. And it's a larval host plant, meaning caterpillars will be there. The last thing I'll say is that the native gardens do need maintenance. I think it was Talame that said they have to be culturally acceptable. So you can't just have wild gardening. It has to be culturally acceptable. That's the hard part for me. So I'm a gardener in training in that area because that's hard for me because I don't like to cut anything down. But Pete Oldorf is another one, and this is the one Alice and I saw in 2018. A Dutch garden designer, and he designs public gardens. And he's just one of those people you just want to hear him talk or watch him draw his garden plan. Just beautiful. You've heard him. So anyone who's been to New York City, which I have not been to see this because it was after I went there, the High Line. So the High Line, good. The High Line was an elevated train that they were going to tear down, but someone had the idea of making it into a walking path. And with that, he was brought in to design a garden. This is now about 2 miles, maybe a little less, above the street, and it's just people are drawn to that. That he, as someone said, his public gardens transform people and places. And that was a really famous one. He also designed a glory garden in Chicago, which is a prairie in Chicago. And that's what he did. And then his latest project, and he's 78 years old, and he's been working on this one through COVID. It is in Detroit, and it's called the Oldorf Garden District. It's a whole island there. And so his garden philosophy is not really about the plants And he really doesn't think so much about the creatures, but he talks about the emotion, the atmosphere, the contemplation. And I respect him so much because of what he's done for those cities. But I think with contemplation, I would also add contribution if we can contribute to this special place that's Bastrop County. He said, if you try to move people with what you do, you look at this and it goes deeper than what you see. It reminds you of something in the genes, nature, or the longing for nature. What's different is, these are for city people. We live in nature, many of us, very close, and we can contribute to nature using a lot of the resources that is the Zuniga method, and then the native plants, and as I said, the Lady Bird Johnson, the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, the Audubon Society, so many of them have prepared lists and ideas, and I did compile those for you, and that'll be on the website, and I guess you'll also send it out. Norm and Janet have been very kind to invite us tonight, and thank you very much. That's what we want to do. Rudy's daughter also drew the plants in, and so she's still working on this garden, and I know she does a great job. Yes.
And what did you mean about sequestering carbon?
Sequestering carbon and I'm not a scientist, but the idea is that our native grasses and our and plants in general, trees especially, will bring carbon dioxide in, and that carbon will go into the soil, and it will stay there until we, kill the tree or dig it out or whatever. But yeah, that is a great benefit of plants in our ecosystem. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Share your.
What was in my yard?
Whoa! Zebra. Longwing. There you go. What plant was that? Maypop. Wonderful.
So, when you develop a garden like that on private property, did the owners give you a donation and
The
property owners?
that owner did not, but some do, I'm sure.
So it's just a learning experience?
It was a learning experience for everybody. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's up the street, and some crazy lady lives there. Not yet, but thank you. Yes, we don't usually do it on. We don't usually do it on private property. Yes, it was just a fun thing. Now, if that would be a fundraiser, what do you think, Rudy? There you go. I think we would like to put together the people that know how to do it and could maybe make a living. Like I said, we've got a young man.
Straight line. What you're going to have is you're going to have a Lauren party show of Marcia and me, because next month it's going to be practical application of different kind of thing where it's applied to a rural area. So I'll do the thing on bird projects, and we have a 105-acre farm. We go to the neighbors. We have 250 acres of wildlife resort. We're actually requesting enrollment by golf and the Audubon Society and Texas Parks and Wildlife. So when you show up next month, you'll get another perspective on what she's talking about.
Yeah. Now, where to get native plants? That's going to be in the list that Norm sends out. March 11th, native plants up the street at the show barn by Pastor Barners. That's our one of the things that we've concentrated on for some time is the native plants.
Now, somebody asked me, someone 2 acres, they wanted yupon, and people don't seem to want yupon, but I don't mind yupon, it's all in my yard, I mean, my property.
They seem to down everywhere for fire suppression, aren't they, like on South Shore Drive? And I don't know.
It's remediation.
Huh?
The land remediation, take out the ponds,
Okay,
the underbrush.
the underbrush.
And wildfire.
Close to your house, especially close to your house.
Yes.
But if you go to the house, you're at least gas.
Yeah, I guess it was a problem or something. Okay. Thank you all. Oh, we want to give out, we have 4 blocks. Again, they're from the Goldsmith up there on 21. So I just have Chris. I just have 4 tonight. Somebody gets
So we're going to
oyster mushrooms.
we pick numbers and then, yes, so are you finished?
They're looking for numbers.
Does anybody have any more questions for her?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much. Next evening.
That's right. Anybody who wants
Okay, we have lots of door prizes, so I'm going to pick the numbers at random,
1 to 11.
1 through 11.
That's members, and then maybe we can just.
This is members. Members only, okay. I'm going to pick number 2. Come on down.
We have, forms and
She'll tell us. There, you little man back Just one or the
We're
other.
going to pick another number. I'm going to pick 10. Allison?
whichever one she doesn't pick or wants to follow. Very nice.
Wait, what do I get to choose?
Mushroom block.
Choose either, whatever Judy decides. She's got